You did not click on this video by chance. Something, an unseen current, a subtle vibration in the fabric of existence, has guided you here. For we are about to journey into a realm largely forgotten by the modern world, yet one whose echoes resonate with a power that refuses to be silenced. We speak of the Celts. Why, after millennia, does the name Celt still conjure such potent imagery, such a profound sense of mystery and ancient allure? Is it merely the haunting beauty of their art? Those intricate knots that seem to hold the very secrets of eternity within their endless loops, or the soul-stirring melodies of their music, capable of transporting us to mist-shrouded landscapes and forgotten kingdoms, awakening a primal longing we cannot quite name. No, the fascination runs deeper. It is a resonance, a recognition, a whisper from our collective unconscious that there was a people who lived in profound communion with the earth, who understood its rhythms, its spirits, its sacred language, a people whose wisdom, though deliberately obscured and fragmented by the march of empires and the rise of new doctrines, still pulses beneath the surface of our so-called civilized world, waiting for those with ears to hear. To even begin to grasp these lost teachings, we must peel back the layers of imposed history, the narratives written by conquerors. The Celts were not a unified empire in the way Rome was. They were a vibrant, diverse constellation of tribes, sharing common linguistic roots that once echoed across a vast expanse of Europe, from the Iberian Peninsula to the Danube, from the British Isles to the lands of Gaul. This was a Celtic Europe, long before the legions marched. Their societies, flourishing particularly from the Hallstatt and La Tène periods, were complex and sophisticated. They were master artisans, their metalwork in gold, bronze, and iron displaying an astonishing level of skill and artistic vision that still inspires awe. Their warriors, renowned for their ferocity and chariotry, were a force to be reckoned with. But their strength was not solely in arms. It was in their deep connection to their lands, their intricate social structures, and their profound spiritual understanding of the cosmos, guided by the enigmatic Druids. Often dismissed by Roman chroniclers as barbarians, a convenient label for those they sought to dominate, the Celts possessed rich oral traditions, intricate legal systems, and a worldview where the sacred was not separate from the everyday. Their influence on the European psyche, on its folklore, its art, even on the very names of its rivers and mountains, is far deeper and more pervasive than mainstream history often acknowledges. It is a foundational layer, a spiritual bedrock. The rise of the Roman Empire, and later the spread of an organized, institutionalized Christianity, brought immense pressure upon these indigenous spiritual ways. Sacred groves were felled, Druidic orders suppressed, ancient beliefs demonized or forcibly assimilated. Yet, the spirit, the essence, proved remarkably resilient. It retreated into the mists of the Celtic fringe, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Brittany, where it was preserved in song, in story, in the quiet defiance of the human heart, waiting for a time when it could once again breathe freely. And that time, it seems, is now. In this hyper-connected, yet often deeply isolating, 20th century, a profound shift is occurring. A collective yearning for something more authentic, more rooted, more aligned with the rhythms of the earth and the whispers of the soul. And in this yearning, millions are turning their gaze towards the ancient Celts. This is not merely a romantic fascination with a bygone era. It is a conscious seeking. Neo-Druid orders are re-emerging, not as mere historical reenactors, but as dedicated practitioners striving to understand and embody these ancient principles in a modern context. Individuals are finding profound personal meaning in Celtic mythology, its archetypes resonating with their own inner journeys. The reverence for nature, so central to Celtic belief, is finding powerful expression in contemporary environmental movements. Why this pull? Because Celtic spirituality offers an antidote to the perceived emptiness of pure materialism. It honors intuition alongside intellect. It sees the sacred not confined to temples built by human hands, but radiating from every living thing. It speaks of cycles, of transformation, of the soul's enduring journey, concepts that provide solace and perspective in a world that often feels chaotic and fragmented. Perhaps you feel it too, a sense that there is more to reality than what meets the eye, a longing to reconnect with something ancient within yourself, something wild, something sacred. This resurgence is not a looking back, it is a looking within, guided by the echoes of those who came before. It is an understanding that the lost teachings were never truly lost. They were merely waiting for the seeker to become ready. And at the very heart of this reawakening, at the center of this ancient wisdom, stand the enigmatic figures who were its primary guardians, its interpreters, its living conduits, the Druids. Their story, their knowledge, is where our journey truly deepens. The whispers have led us here, to the very heart of the Celtic mystery. For if Celtic spirituality is a vast, ancient forest, then the Druids were its deepest roots, its tallest oaks, the silent guardians of its sacred groves. But who were they, truly? Beyond the veils of romanticism and the distortions of hostile chroniclers, what reality lies hidden? They were not mere priests in the conventional sense, officiating prescribed rituals. The Druids were the intellectual and spiritual luminaries of their people. They were the philosophers who pondered the nature of the cosmos and the journey of the soul. They were the judges who administered sacred law. Their wisdom sought to resolve disputes and maintain societal harmony. They were the healers, possessing profound knowledge of herbal remedies, the energies of the earth, and perhaps even the subtle mechanics of the human spirit. And yes, they were teachers, but their schools were not halls of stone and parchment. Their classrooms were the whispering forests, the echoing caves, the star-strewn night sky. Their teachings were not confined to rote memorization, but transmitted through lengthy poetic verses, intricate oral traditions passed down with meticulous care from master to disciple, often over decades. To become a Druid was not a career choice. It was a profound calling, a lifelong dedication to the pursuit of wisdom and the service of the sacred. The Romans, in their pragmatic ambition, both feared and, perhaps grudgingly, respected them. Caesar himself noted their exemption from warfare and taxation, their immense influence over the populace. Why such reverence? Because the Druids held the keys, not to earthly power as Rome understood it, but to the unseen realms, to the spiritual currents that shape the Celtic world. This connection was not abstract. It was visceral, lived, breathed. For the Druid, the natural world was not a backdrop for human drama, nor a collection of resources to be exploited. It was the primary scripture, the living embodiment of the divine. Every tree, every stone, every stream pulsed with sacred energy, with its own unique spirit, its own story. The oak, in particular, held profound significance. Its deep roots symbolized connection to the earth and the ancestors, its mighty branches reaching towards the heavens, a conduit between worlds. Sacred groves, often centered around ancient oaks, were their cathedrals, places of ritual, meditation, and profound communion. To fell a sacred tree was not merely an act of destruction. It was a sacrilege, a severing of a vital spiritual artery. Their understanding of the cosmos was equally profound. They were meticulous observers of the celestial dance, the sun's journey through the year, the moon's ever-changing phases, the distant march of the stars. These were not mere astronomical observations. They were readings of cosmic law, reflections of the divine order. The solstices and equinoxes, the cross-quarter days marking the great fire festivals like Samhain and Beltane, were pivotal moments when the veil between worlds thinned, when the energies of creation were most potent. And central to their worldview was the unwavering belief in the immortality of the soul and its cyclical journey. Death, for the Druid, was not an ending to be feared, but a transition, a shedding of one form to embrace another. This understanding permeated Celtic society, fostering a courage that often baffled their adversaries and a profound acceptance of life's impermanence. The soul, an eternal spark, was forever learning, forever evolving, forever part of the great, unending dance of existence. The wisdom of the Druids was often veiled in symbolism, a sacred language understood by initiates. We've spoken of the oak, but many trees held spiritual significance. The yew for eternity and connection to ancestors, the ash as the world tree, the hazel for wisdom and divination. Each possessed its own unique energy, its own medicine, its own teachings. Divination, the art of seeking knowledge from the unseen realms, was a key practice. This wasn't mere fortune-telling. It was a sacred dialogue with the spirits, with the patterns of fate, with the deeper currents of reality. They might interpret the flight of birds, the patterns in clouds, the rustling of leaves in a sacred grove, or employ more structured methods like Ogham, the enigmatic tree alphabet, where each symbol, each tree, offered a unique insight, a vibrational key to understanding. Rituals, though shrouded in secrecy due to the oral nature of their tradition and later persecutions, were undoubtedly central. These would have been meticulously designed to align with celestial events, to honor deities and nature spirits, to mark passages of life, and to maintain the delicate balance between the worlds. Sacred fires would have blazed, chanting and music would have filled the air, and offerings, perhaps of grain, of crafted objects, or, in some contested accounts, even more significant sacrifices would have been made to nourish the land and appease the powers that governed it. The knowledge of the Druids was not for the merely curious. It was a path of profound discipline, of unwavering commitment, of direct experiential understanding. It was a wisdom that understood that the greatest temple was not built of stone, but was the inner landscape of the awakened soul. And it is to this inner temple and the stories that illuminate it that we now turn. The Druids guarded the sacred knowledge, but it was through myth and legend that the soul of the Celtic people truly sang. These were not mere fables for entertainment. They were living narratives, potent vehicles for transmitting core beliefs, cultural values, and the very essence of their understanding of reality. A tapestry woven with threads of magic, heroism, divine intervention, and the ever-present dance between this world and the other world. Consider the epic tales of Cuchulainn, the Hound of Ulster, a warrior of superhuman prowess and tragic destiny. His story, brimming with astonishing feats of strength and loyalty, also explores the profound burdens of a hero's fate, the intoxicating yet perilous nature of the Rheastrad, his battle fury, and the heartbreaking choices demanded by honor and duty. He embodies the Celtic warrior ideal, yet also the inherent sorrow within a world where even the greatest heroes are subject to the whims of fate and the gods. Then there is Brigid, a goddess of multifaceted power, revered as the patroness of poetry and inspiration, of smithcraft and the transformative power of fire, and of healing and sacred wells. Her presence illuminates the Celtic reverence for creativity, for the sacred feminine, and for the life-giving and purifying energies of the natural world. Even with the coming of Christianity, her flame was too bright to extinguish, eventually becoming syncretized with Saint Brigid, a testament to her enduring hold on the Celtic heart. And one cannot speak of Celtic goddesses without acknowledging the formidable Morrigan, the Great Queen or Phantom Queen, a complex and often terrifying deity associated with war, fate, and prophecy. She could appear as a beautiful woman, an old hag, or a raven circling the battlefield. The Morrigan embodies the untamed, often destructive aspects of sovereignty and the darker mysteries of life and death. She is not simply evil, but a powerful force that demands respect, a reminder that transformation often comes through confrontation and dissolution. These are but a few stars in a vast mythological constellation. Figures like Lu Lamfada, master of all skills, Manannán mac Lir, enigmatic god of the sea and the otherworld, Epona, the horse goddess, and countless local deities and nature spirits populated their spiritual landscape, each story a thread in the rich, complex narrative of Celtic belief. Beyond the captivating characters and epic narratives, Celtic mythology is saturated with profound themes and potent symbolism, offering insights into their worldview. The theme of courage, for instance, is ever present. Not just the brute force of the battlefield, but the courage to face one's destiny, to uphold one's honor even in the face of insurmountable odds, as seen in the sagas of Cuchulainn and countless other heroes. It is a courage born from an understanding of the soul's eternal nature. Wisdom, too, is a recurring motif, often associated with sacred wells, ancient trees like the hazel, or elusive figures from the otherworld. Wisdom in Celtic myth is not merely accumulated knowledge, but a deep, intuitive understanding of life's mysteries. The salmon of knowledge, for example, bestows universal understanding upon whoever tastes it. This highlights a belief that true wisdom comes from direct experience, often through a transformative encounter with the sacred or the unknown. And perhaps most powerfully, the overwhelming power and sacredness of nature permeates every tale. Gods and goddesses are intrinsically linked to natural forces: the sun, the moon, the sea, the forests, the rivers. Animals are not mere beasts, but often messengers, guides, or even a form taken by deities or otherworld beings. This profound respect for and integration with the natural world is a cornerstone of Celtic spirituality, a stark contrast to later anthropocentric views. Other key themes include the liminality of the otherworld, a realm existing just beyond the veil of ordinary perception, accessible at certain times and places, the importance of oaths in Giasa, sacred prohibitions or bonds, the cyclical nature of time and events, and the transformative power of shapeshifting, reflecting a fluid understanding of identity and reality. These are not just stories. They are vibrational keys to understanding a different mode of being. Though centuries have passed, and the original context of these myths has largely faded, their power continues to resonate, profoundly influencing contemporary creativity. Think of the enduring fascination with Arthurian legends, which, while heavily medievalized, have deep roots in earlier Celtic traditions, and figures like the Welsh Mabinogion. In modern fantasy literature, From Tolkien's elves and ancient forests, which drew inspiration from Welsh and Irish lore, to countless contemporary authors weaving tales of fae, druids, and mythical beasts, the echoes of Celtic mythology are unmistakable. Its themes of magic, heroism, and the wild, untamed power of nature provide fertile ground for storytellers. Visual arts, too, are rich with Celtic influence. The intricate knotwork, the swirling spirals, the stylized animal forms continue to inspire painters, sculptors, tattoo artists, and graphic designers. These ancient symbols, imbued with layers of meaning, offer a visual language that speaks of timeless truths and a connection to ancestral heritage. Even in popular culture, music, film, and video games, Celtic themes and aesthetics appear, sometimes overtly, sometimes as subtle undercurrents. This persistent presence suggests a collective longing for the magic, the mystery, and the profound connection to nature that these ancient stories represent. They offer an escape, perhaps, but also a deeper kind of nourishment for the modern soul. These myths, these gods, these heroes are more than just echoes from the past. They are living energies, archetypes that continue to inform our understanding of ourselves and the world. And just as their stories were preserved, so too were their rituals and practices, fragments of a sacred way of life that are being rediscovered and reimagined today. That is where our journey takes us next. The grand narratives of mythology painted the spiritual cosmos of the Celts, but it was through ritual and daily practice that these beliefs were woven into the very fabric of their lives. Though the druidic orders were suppressed and many explicit pagan rites were lost to the tides of history, the echoes of these sacred ways did not entirely vanish. They survived, often in disguised forms, within the enduring traditions of the people. Listen closely, and you can still hear it. The haunting melodies of traditional Celtic music, the mournful cry of the Uilleann pipes, the delicate dance of the harp strings, the driving rhythm of the bodhrán. This music is more than mere entertainment. It is a direct conduit to the ancestral soul. Its modes and cadences often carry echoes of ancient chants, its tunes telling wordless stories of joy, sorrow, heroism, and a profound connection to the land. And where there is music, there is often dance. Celtic traditional dances, from the energetic reels and jigs of Ireland and Scotland to the more communal circle dances, are not just social pastimes. Many are believed to have roots in ancient ritual movements, perhaps once used to invoke fertility, celebrate seasonal changes, or honor the gods. The patterns, the footwork, the communal energy, all hint at a deeper, sacred purpose, a way of moving in harmony with the rhythms of the cosmos. The art of storytelling, the Sean-Shai tradition, was paramount in preserving Celtic culture long after the Druids' oral schools fell silent. These skilled storytellers were the living libraries of their communities, memorizing and recounting vast cycles of myths, legends, historical accounts, and genealogies. Through their captivating performances, often around a communal fire, they kept the ancestral wisdom alive, instilling cultural values and a sense of shared identity in each new generation. This tradition, though evolving, continues to this day, a testament to the enduring power of the spoken word. Beyond these performative traditions, the visual language of the Celts, their potent symbols and intricate motifs, has experienced a remarkable renaissance in the modern world. These are not merely decorative elements. They are carriers of ancient meaning, resonating with a timeless aesthetic and a deep spiritual significance that transcends cultural and temporal boundaries. Consider the Celtic knot, with its unbroken, interwoven lines. In contemporary jewelry, tattoos, and graphic design, it speaks of eternity, of interconnectedness, of the cyclical nature of life, love, and spirit. The triskele, or triple spiral, a symbol of immense antiquity, continues to fascinate, representing concepts like the threefold goddess, the cycles of birth, life-death, or the dynamic interplay of land, sea, and sky. The stylized animals that populate Celtic art, the wise salmon, the courageous boar, the graceful stag, the mystical raven, are not just charming figures. They carry archetypal energies, reminding us of our connection to the animal kingdom and the specific qualities these creatures embodied in Celtic lore. We see them reborn in modern illustration, sculpture, and even fashion, a nod to a worldview where humans and animals were inextricably linked. This widespread adoption of Celtic symbols is more than a fleeting aesthetic trend. It reflects a deeper desire to connect with something authentic, something meaningful, something that speaks to the soul in a language older than words. These symbols act as visual anchors, reminders of a heritage and a spiritual perspective that offer depth and beauty in a fast-paced world. The revival of Celtic traditions today is a multifaceted phenomenon, driven by a diverse community of seekers, scholars, artists, and practitioners. It's not about an exact replication of the past, something likely impossible given the fragmentary nature of the historical record, but rather a creative and heartfelt re-engagement with the core principles and spiritual essence of these ancient ways. We see this in the growing neo-Druid movements, which, while diverse in their specific practices, generally emphasize reverence for nature, ancestral veneration, and the pursuit of wisdom and inner peace. They often adapt ancient festival cycles like Samhain and Beltane to contemporary life, creating meaningful rituals that mark the turning of the seasons and foster a sense of community and connection. The relevance of these traditions to contemporary life is striking. In an age of ecological crisis, the Celtic emphasis on living in harmony with nature, on seeing the earth as sacred, offers a powerful ethical framework and a source of inspiration for environmental activism. Their understanding of interconnectedness challenges the hyper-individualism of modern society, reminding us of our dependence on each other and the wider web of life. Furthermore, the focus on inner work, on understanding the cycles of one's own soul, on finding wisdom through intuition and direct experience, resonates deeply with many who are seeking personal growth and spiritual fulfillment outside of mainstream religious institutions. Celtic spirituality offers a path that is both ancient and adaptable, rooted yet fluid, providing tools for navigating the inner landscape with courage and grace. The legacy of Celtic rituals and practices, therefore, is not a static relic of the past. It is a living, breathing current, continuously reinterpreted and revitalized by those who hear its ancient call. And as we reflect on this enduring power, we are drawn to consider what ultimate wisdom these echoes from the mists truly offer us today. Our journey through the mists of time, exploring the rise, the wisdom, the myths, and the practices of the ancient Celts, now brings us to a pivotal question. Why? Why, in a world seemingly so far removed from theirs, a world of algorithms and artificial intelligence, of global anxieties and relentless change, does the spirit of these ancient peoples continue to exert such a profound and enduring appeal? Perhaps the answer lies not in what they had, but in what they understood. They understood that humanity is not separate from nature, but an intrinsic part of its sacred web. They understood that time is not a relentless arrow, but a cyclical dance of becoming and return. They understood that the unseen world is as real, as potent, as the one we perceive with our everyday senses. And they understood that the soul's journey is one of eternal learning and transformation. In a world that often prioritizes the external achievement, acquisition, appearance, Celtic spirituality gently but firmly guides us back to the internal. It reminds us that true wealth lies in wisdom, true power in self-knowledge, and true connection in recognizing the divine spark within ourselves, within others, and within all of creation. This is not an escape from reality, but a deeper immersion into its true nature. And this ancient wisdom is not merely a comforting philosophy. It offers potent insights for navigating the pressing challenges of our time. Consider the environmental crisis that looms over our planet. The Celtic reverence for nature, their understanding of the earth as a sacred, living being, provides a powerful spiritual foundation for ecological responsibility. It calls us not just to manage resources, but to act as stewards, as kin to the natural world, recognizing that its well-being is inextricably linked to our own. In an era grappling with deep societal divisions and injustices, the Celtic emphasis on community, on kinship, and on the interconnectedness of all beings offers a path towards greater empathy and solidarity. While their societies were not utopian, their core spiritual understanding that every individual life possesses inherent dignity and is part of a larger whole challenges us to build bridges, to heal wounds, and to strive for a more just and compassionate world. And on a personal level, in our individual quests for meaning and growth, Celtic spirituality provides a rich tapestry of tools and perspectives. Its acceptance of life's cyclical nature, including periods of darkness and withdrawal, the negredo of the soul, as other traditions might call it, helps us navigate difficult times with greater resilience. Its focus on intuition, on listening to the wisdom of the heart and the messages of dreams and synchronicity, empowers us to trust our inner guidance. Its stories of heroes and heroines inspire us to embrace our own courage and to live authentically. The lost teachings of the ancient Celts, therefore, are not confined to dusty history books or museum display cases. They are alive. They are a vibrant current of wisdom flowing beneath the surface of our modern world, accessible to all who choose to listen, to learn, to remember. This journey we have taken together is but an introduction, a spark to ignite your own exploration. So, how do you continue this journey? Perhaps it begins with a walk in nature, truly seeing the trees, the stones, the water, not as objects, but as fellow beings. Perhaps it is by exploring the rich tapestry of Celtic mythology, allowing its archetypes to speak to your own soul. Perhaps it is by listening to the ancient melodies, letting their vibrations stir forgotten memories. Or perhaps it is by seeking out communities and teachers who are working to keep these traditions alive and relevant. The enduring power of Celtic spirituality lies in its ability to reconnect us to the earth, to our ancestors, to our deepest selves, and to the sacred mystery that permeates all existence. It does not offer easy answers, but it offers a path of wonder, of wisdom, of courage, and of profound, life-affirming connection. The mists may linger, but the path is there. The ancient Celts left us not a rigid doctrine, but an invitation to listen to the heartbeat of the world, to dance with the cycles of life, and to awaken the druid, the poet, the warrior, the healer that resides within each of us. The legacy is rich. The power is enduring. The journey is yours to claim. All right, everyone. That's a wrap for this journey into the world of the Celts. Thanks so much for watching.